Listen up, Gotham. This is Batman. Tune into the Bat Fanatic podcast with Sammy Warm Hands. And if you don't, I'll be coming for you.
Hey everybody, it's the Dark Knight of Rap, Sammy Warm Hands, and this is the Bat Fanatic podcast. As always, I'll be joined by my co-hosts, Ben and Evan. First, I'd like to shout out our Season 3 sponsor, TNK Comics and Collectibles. You can follow on Instagram at The Nando Night for claim sales or shortboxed.com/Nando Night. That's NANDOKNIGHT. Now, this is the first episode we've recorded since Kevin Conroy's passing, so stick around to the end for a few words on that. But we are going to compare with the last episode we did, Feet of Clay, in the animated series, switching to the 2005 series called The Batman. This is the two-parter starting with the Rubberface of comedy. Stay tuned. Well, on this episode, I think we'll probably not be making so much fun of
We didn't make
conspiracy
fun of the Jews.
theorists.
Oh, okay, we made fun of them, yes.
Yeah, no. It's
Speak for yourself.
It's like pretending that we're hardcore Kool-Aid drinkers. Because when I edited it, I had so many laughs that I left most of it in, which normally I wouldn't. And I listened to it the next day after the edit, and I was like, whew, we're probably going to lose some followers if they don't make it to the point where I'm like, just to be very clear, we're being sarcastic here. Like, There's a deep irony in all this.
I did listen to this episode, and I got to the end, and I thought it was funny that you made a disclaimer about the Kevin Conroy thing, which I totally understand.
Well, I made the offensive thing at the beginning.
Yeah, and then you made another one at the end, like just a reminder, we're talking about it, but that's before he died. We're not trying to be disrespectful, which was really nice.
Yeah.
But none of that about the...
Well, no, I did at the very beginning. I was like, yo, this is a
extra offensive
episode. And then after the theme music went out, and it was just over the 1 minute mark, because this always starts at minute 5. And so if someone hit the 30-second button twice because they listened to the show a lot, then they would just get to the show. And so after the music faded out, I said it again. I was like, and if you skip the intro,
and if you're one
this
of those
is a
people,
very offensive episode, humor-wise, so just know that going in. And so, yes, I did make sure to say that because it was like, I don't want some fucking guy with his kids in the backseat. Like, what is the Zionist agenda?
Tell me more.
Because I want to talk about it more again on this episode, and because I actually can't remember what did we say that was so...
My main takeaway.
Your funniest joke was about... we're making all these ironic jokes.
Jews
like
control the world.
after
Kanye was right.
started talking shit, right?
Yeah.
Before he went full-blown Hitler, but
Yes.
he was...
This is when it was just
approaching
subtle.
He was approaching Hitler.
As bad as it got.
But your best joke, because we were going through all that, and then Ben
Trick question.
went out of his
They're
way.
all the best jokes.
Ben went out of his way to say, like, y'all, just so you know, I am Jewish, and so, like, take that for what it is.
I couldn't possibly believe this.
And so he said something about his tinfoil hat, and you made a joke about his tinfoil yarmulke, and I thought that was fucking gold.
Yeah.
That was a
That was
really
a brilliant
good
joke.
beat.
Thank you.
Yeah, so
Cool.
hats off to you, if you will.
Well, hi him, as we say.
Clearly, I need to go back and listen to the episode.
Listen to that newest episode.
We record these, right?
Yeah. I got away from listening.
Just so when I'm lonely, I can listen to you guys.
Oh.
No,
Pretend
I
I
don't know.
have friends.
When I was working at the cabinet shop, it was a big thing for Lauren and Christian and I to all listen to them on Fridays.
Oh, you would listen to our show with others around?
And you'd be like,
No.
"Shh,
We
don't talk."
all had we all got like ear protection that also was a Blu-ray player.
Oh.
And it was really funny actually because
So you had like a Bluetooth fucking thing that everyone listened to the same shit?
yeah, we would all be listening to it separately. And we just worked in the same area. Like Lauren and Christian and I were all in the same small department. And it was really funny too, because I'll be doing something else and then I'd hear somebody like and look over and Lauren's like hammering something and smiling.
Smashing his hand.
Yeah,
because he's not paying attention anymore.
exactly.
That
Christian
happened-
starting a fire and having a good time.
That happened to me too, because I had posted on social media, like, finishing this edit, just fair warning, it's really fucking raunchy, but it's funny. I think it's funny. And one of my friends from work saw that and was like, oh, I got to listen to this. So the next day, I could hear from across the room her like busting up laughing. And I'd be like, yes. And then she would like send me a fucking quote of one of,
And she's like,
one of
those
our-
Jews are bad.
Oh, no. Hilarious.
One of the dudes, I think it was Austin, one of our longtime listeners, commented on there and was like, yeah, more dick jokes, more Jew jokes. And I was like, whoa. Hank, just be careful. Careful, Austin. You're making us look bad. I said, I don't think most people would probably know this, but like Ben and I in this band, Dead Fucking Serious, Evan was on the record too. You know, we speak out about these things a lot. So to us, it's like so unthinkable that it's funny for us to say it. You know, like it's so ridiculous that it's pure mockery. But to anyone who just tuned in randomly, and it's like, oh, Tim Sale, I'll catch this episode out of the last 20 I missed.
Well, and to be fair, 3 bald white guys talking about Batman for hours of our lives could be white supremacists. It's like,
that's true.
It's not a huge stretch if you're jumping into it and you don't know us.
I just mentioned Reddit.
Yeah, totally. And Sam and I have been fielding stupid stuff about being bald for
dude.
like
when
15 years.
when we used to tour in a rap group, man, we'd have people come up to us like, so you guys both shave your heads, huh? I'm like,
Yeah,
we did both go bald at a young age. That's true. And they're like, yeah, but what do you really... Get the fuck out of here. Anyway, today we're doing something long overdue, in my opinion. This should have been probably a season 1 thing to at least approach this series called The Batman, which I discovered, I don't know, in my early 20s. I think it had already been off the air at that point. It was a DVD find for me. I lived like 10 minutes from work. And so I would come home and put on the DVD, I watch one 20-minute episode of this and go back. And that was my lunchtime routine every day for a long time. And I fucking really like this show. It's called The Batman, well before Matt Reeves and Ben Affleck, I guess, came to use that name. But it's a totally different show set around 2005. They started airing. And man, I was so impressed. Like when we'll get to this in a moment, but there's just so many different exciting things that when you first turn it on and you're so used to the Elfman, Bruce Timm production that it's like, whoa, this is weird. I don't know about this. And then like pretty quickly, like, holy shit, this is fucking rad.
Yeah, it was a gradual curve to me of like, this isn't good. How do I... And then like by the end, I was like, no, that was really cool, really different, really unique.
Yeah, it's good fresh takes, I think.
So we're doing the 2-parter that's the end of season 1. It's the Rubberface of comedy and the CLAYFACE of tragedy. Both aired in 2005, both written by Greg Weisman. First episode directed by Sam Liu, who directed Soul of the Dragon, The Killing Joke, Batman Year One, and many others. Second episode directed by Soon Yoon Kim, I think.
Good job.
That sounds good.
Starring, my autocorrect says starting, thanks very much, Reno Romano as Batman. I'm not going to get into that story, but I have one. I have a new short story, guys. A brand new one.
Wow. How's your life?
It's not great, let me tell you.
Yeah. How's adulthood treating you?
Yeah. Okay.
Try vegetables.
You're really going to bring it down now. Don't ask me about my life right now. It's terrible. Alistair Duncan, Steve Harris, not from Iron Maiden, Ming-Na Wen, autocorrect was having a hell of a time with that one, Kevin Michael Richardson, who I want to talk about, and Jesse Cordy. Music composed by Thomas Chase and theme song by The Edge from U2. Let's start on that.
Whoa.
The theme song, The Batman.
I thought it was neat. I didn't see that until the end of the first episode, so I had no like, oh, the fucking Edge. I had none of that judgment. It's like spy music. I can tell what they were going for, but then it gets a little weirder and darker with like some of the key changes of it. I like it.
It's like upbeat and spooky.
Yeah. That's overall, it's a really good intro.
It
sets
really
the tone
neat
for this show.
The funny thing is, at first it threw me off. I'm like, oh, that's weird. Like I'm only used to orchestration with Batman, and Batman Beyond has some rock music that they thought would sound futuristic, even though there is basically no rock in the future. And I was like, fucking another rock intro. I don't know about this. And then in sort of binging the show, watching it each day, I was like, I fucking love this song. It's always stuck in my head.
You can like hear it growing on yourself because it's finding its way out of your mouth.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, dang it.
Like I'm singing it while I'm doing the dishes.
Yeah.
Can you give me a couple lines of it?
Dun, 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 dun.
I like the color palette in the intro though too. It's like
deep reds and fucking
Halloween-esque. It's got like purples, oranges.
The whole show kind of has that look.
The sky is always really neat. Like at night, it's purple. In the daytime, it's red. They did a little bit of that on the animated series, but the show has a more abstract style to it. Like they'll do sort of the anime running lines background for an action shot or things like that.
Or the way the buildings
Look at Sam.
times. Anime running
Knowing
lines.
stuff.
Hey, I knew something.
Man.
Hang out with you guys for 3 years straight.
Kiss you.
Okay, go for it, guys.
yeah.
Ben's like,
Something I've been wanting to do for a long time on the show. We're finally getting around to it.
put my feet up and have a good show.
Live smooches.
Yeah, it was as good as I thought. Yeah. See you later, guys.
But yeah, I love it. I love the creepy way they say the name at the end of the song.
It almost sounds like a sound effect turning into them saying the Batman.
Yeah, super cool.
The splashes of the different villains, like a little flash of their face and then a little animation of them.
Well, and that's something interesting too, because if you're watching the show from the beginning, or like this time, your guys' first introduction, right? You had never seen it?
Nope.
So you're seeing all the characters that haven't been revealed to you yet. It's a very interesting way to meet them.
Yeah.
As opposed to how they decide to unfold in that episode. It's like by the time they get to Penguin, you're like, oh yeah, he's familiar. I recognize him. So it's like, even though they've done some different shit with the characters, you're sort of already familiar by the time you get to them.
It feels a little spoiler alert to me because part of a new series is anticipating these character redesigns.
Yeah.
So
Seeing them
even when they show up for the first time, I know who the Penguin is. Not surprised. That
Tom Kenny, by the way.
SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Heifer.
He does a great job.
Heifer.
I love
From
his
Rocko's
Rocko.
Cool.
This is good stuff. Your folks are gonna love it.
I don't necessarily like want to see that right off the bat, you know, because it's a bunch of characters that I am familiar with, but I don't want to like see this take right from the beginning because that's part of the fun of seeing the characters for the first time is this new rendition of them.
I get it from their end though, because they want to, especially if it's new. They're like, hey, but you know,
We're going to
Check
do
it
all
out,
your
check it
favorites.
out.
Yeah. It's not like we
Yeah.
didn't make up a bunch of villains for this.
Well, like Beware the Batman goes way left field, deep cut characters the whole time.
All Calendar Man, all the time. Just it's like a season long Calendar Man.
Infomercial.
Let me put it this way. Season 3 of this show, they introduce Batgirl. Beware the Batman, his sidekick isn't Batgirl, it isn't Robin, it's Katana. They really did some different shit with that show.
Beware the Batman, the CG one?
Yeah, yeah. Which, when I first started watching, I was like, oh, this looks so fucking stupid. But it's really just Batman's stupid head. And the rest of it actually looks really neat. The animation is super cool.
Doesn't his head kind of resemble this?
Because this head's kind of
person's
stupid
head?
looking to me too.
I like this design.
It's an interesting take. It's unique.
I only
interesting
think,
take.
Well, I was thinking about this.
That's going to
earlier
go in the
that-
cons later.
Yeah.
That's not bad. You don't have to.
I'm just kidding. I appreciated the kid gloves you put on that. That's
This
all.
version of Batman, I think the design is so cool that I wished that he only existed as Batman in this cartoon and like Bruce Wayne wasn't a character.
Oh, I like his Bruce.
I don't think that like the forehead shape, I don't think that looks dope as Batman and doesn't translate to like a real person's face to me.
Oh,
But you know,
but the jarhead fucking Bruce Timm thing, that's good, people.
Yeah, that's fine.
We
It's
accept
because it's the like I'm fine with the chin. I just don't like his jutting.
think about it. What are the odds? I guess they're actually probably high. But before let me say the thing I was going to say before I undermine it, that you would be badass genius, billionaire, and more attractive than almost everyone.
Okay, so now we're having a problem with the fundamental tenets of the character.
No. But I'm just saying, like, that's why this one is, I accept it. So he's just the first two, and he's not more attractive than everyone.
And that's also a thing with superheroes also is like, what are the chances that these are also like hot babes?
Yeah, after all these other ridiculous
Yeah,
things that
they're
they're
like
also...
they're supermodels.
Yeah.
They're the strongest people in the world. They're the smartest people in the world.
Evan likes that Bermejo Harley.
Yeah.
a little more
me
gnarly.
that
Yeah,
trailer
I need,
tri-
I need,
yeah,
I
trailer
need
chick.
lumps and crevices. That's what I'm looking for.
But so that's what I feel with this
Is that
guy.
the
It's
name
like
of your
a,
favorite porn mag?
yeah.
think about
Lumps
this-
and crevices.
I'm speechless.
Yeah, first time.
That's amazing. So Any other character designs or just general off the top that we want to talk about?
Yeah, but
My first point
We'll
of
get there.
worry was the voice acting of the police chief, because I didn't like that.
Rojas.
I didn't really like his voice for the way that character looked. And I also just didn't like the writing in that scene, particularly his.
kind of says some stupid
I think
stuff.
that's the point with him, is that he's supposed to be kind of a stiff, kind of an idiot, like zero tolerance. And then like later when he's trying to write his speech, he's like, wait, is it on? Is it
Four of?
fucking son of a bitch?
Yeah. So that,
Like, I think they kind of make him like he bit off more than he can chew.
and maybe that is what it is, but it also just seemed like not the greatest performance. But,
The other thing is they eventually have to phase him out in favor of Gordon.
so Gordon comes into the show.
Eventually, yeah.
I thought
When-
that was
when-
just like another
when
like
Barbara
choice
does.
of like, no, it's just Rojas. We're leaning hard
Yeah,
into
yes,
this
it is.
new. I think
Yeah,
it's going to stick.
it's not Yindel from Dark Knight Returns. It's Yin. It's Ellen Yin. You know, so they do little things like that to change it up. But yeah, eventually they do bring in more familiar faces.
Well, and after that, all the other voice acting was great. And also all like recognizable people for the most part. Even the lead, I don't recognize him as like a person, but he's been a voice actor for countless cartoons.
Yeah, I don't know him from other stuff, but I fucking love his performance.
I feel like he's been a Spider-Man at some point in one of the cartoons. He's just been a lot of things, and he was the Knights of the Old Republic, one of my favorite video games ever. Very dialogue heavy, but you, the main character, don't talk. You pick text. But your guy, like when you tell him to open a door and it's locked, he's like, nope, can't do it. He has like that.
Got it. No problem.
He's you. He's the guy who says that. Or
Oh,
like,
got it.
Got it. I'll do it. Like
He's
that
the
kind of
voice
thing.
in your head.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So he will
That's
always
the guy
be
who
with
keeps
me.
telling me to kill myself? Shit.
Fuck.
You should just do it.
Nope.
Thanks.
yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
It's not me. It's
Call
what's
you
his
for
name?
advice. It's Reno Romano.
Yeah, Reno Romano.
I like how he
the
doesn't
devil on my shoulder.
talk to anybody else but just himself. The whole video game, he's like,
Just makes faces at
yeah,
everyone
yeah.
else.
All right, so the first episode, it's a cold open before the new intro we talked about. We're outside Gotham National Bank as Joker and his goons, Punch and Judy, bomb the entrance, break into the vault using Joker putty. They have these blasters that kind of look like the goo shooters from Ghostbusters 2.
Goo shooters.
Yeah.
This is the most versatile product.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing that the goo can't do.
Love that Joker.
And
That's a good tagline.
Yeah, it is. That's
Nothing
do
that
with
the
two.
goo
That's
can't do.
That's do with two O's.
So then it's a hairstyle? It's pomade.
No, but it's goo. It's not go. It's not the go can't do. It's the goo can't do.
He sprays his vault, and he sprays his goons, and he sprays the getaway van.
And he sprays a rope.
Yeah, to extend
Statue.
it.
It doesn't.
And
Nothing
so
that it does is the same.
they're
Anytime
like
that it shows up,
bouncing away as. Oh yeah, it's true
it
because
transforms a man.
they make the vault kind of turn into mush, and
Yep.
they can climb through it, right? And then when he sprays the guy's feet in the van, then they become bouncy balls.
And the rope just extends and stretches like it's become rubber, but not like mud.
Can you imagine
He
though
molds
if
the statue's
if
face.
everything reacted like the vault did? And so he sprays the guys, and they just like
They're
their
like,
legs
"Oh,
crumble.
They're screaming in agony.
Everyone's ankles just immediately
It's
break.
super realistic all of a sudden.
And
Not
then,
sure what I was expecting. But
Yeah.
and then we cut to the theme song. After that, as you mentioned, Chief Rojas is berating the cops for sort of the decline of public support at this point, saying nearly all of their major arrests have been attributed to the Batman.
He says that Gotham was one of like the safest places in the world.
6 months ago or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. And I was like, this is not the Gotham that I know then. As far as I know, it has never been that place.
He's like, just all of a sudden, just turn to shit, and it's your
Freaks.
fault.
Bennett in the scene has a weird moment where he goes, "Come on, shouldn't we be working with bats?
Yeah.
You guys aren't on first name basis. You can
Yeah,
call
yeah.
him Bats."
You know.
Yeah.
Well,
My boy
keep
Bats.
in mind, this is the finale of this season. And so Batman has actually had a lot of interactions with Bennett
talked.
and Yin,
Okay.
establishing some gray areas with him. Rojas introduces a zero tolerance policy for all vigilantes, including Batman. And yes, that's when Bennett is like, I don't think that's the best idea, lumping him in with the Joker, and Rojas loses his shit. Joker blasts the face of a monument with his putty, and they're deforming its face. His sort of artist beret Joker vibe is very Nicholson in the
it's-
museum
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Batman shows up, fights the goons, and we get our first great action sequence. Any thoughts on this? I thought, like, we talked about the smooth animation on the animated series, right? How do you guys feel about the action scenes?
I loved it because I knew looking at this style, this era of animation, well, the first thing I was like, oh, this looks like Jackie Chan Adventures, which I'd never actually watched, but I would just see ads for it. And it turns out the guy...
This is how I imagined it.
the lead designer of that show, this is his other big thing that he designed.
Nice.
So like all the character designs are the same.
Good memory
the world
for a
looks the
show you
same.
didn't watch.
Yeah, I'm cursed. It's a miserable life. But
I know nothing important, but I know everything.
I can never let go.
Cartoons.
But so that's what I was expecting with this kind of mid-era digital stuff, that like, even though the world has that weird abstract look, I was expecting the action to look good, and I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
This is the Batman I want, not the 110-pound germ freak beats
Pushing
up
him into
Batman.
a moving gear
This is
slowly.
this is a guy who flips and kicks and is fast and reactive.
Yeah, he doesn't get his ass handed to him nearly as often.
I think this is my least favorite looking Joker that I've ever seen.
Well, yeah, and that's, yeah.
Tell me more.
Wanted to talk about that for sure.
I felt like he was being...
Too sexy for you?
he was too sexy for his shirt. Just pretty much everything. Aside from the voice, I don't care about the voice, but I didn't like that. I felt like he was being multiple characters. Like he was Hank McCoy. He was a scientist. He was an artist. He was a thespian. He was like...
A madman.
Yeah, a madman. He was only some of the things that I'd normally know, and he was wearing purple, and that was recognizable, but I do not love this version of him.
I'm there with you.
This is so fun for me to watch.
But I'm kind of in between because it's so weird while still keeping, he's like a wild, crazy guy, goofy, laughs all the time. Nothing is serious. So that still is right. And then everything else is so strange, but not in a edgelordy way, or I got face tattoos.
Stop putting a Y on that. I don't like it.
Edgelordy? No, it's a adjective.
It's not an adverb, just
Yeah,
because you say it so.
Yeah, it's a descriptor.
It's original. And so I'm with you. I don't prefer it, but I like that they tried something like that.
Totally. And I'll always give props to trying new stuff and being unexpected. And it looks like that was their whole thing.
Comparing him to Beast is really good. That is a
Well,
great...
I swear that he's wearing shoes that don't have toes in part of it. And
Well, he's barefoot the entire series.
He's extremely acrobatic. He's
I was
flipping
like,
on things.
I swear, yeah, exactly. I'd like, and he's that's
I
even
hate
his
that.
stature is like
Gorilla.
Yeah, he's like Blanca, and it's cool, and it looks like they did do some cool things with other characters. It looks like they took Batman and they're like, he's got to look like we know him, but let's change his lines up. Let's make him sharper and let's give him these long eyeballs and stuff. But then these other characters, like what I saw of Mr. Freeze, doesn't have a helmet. He's got like ice coming out of the top of his head.
that.
You know, so like some of it does look really cool. It looked like that was their whole filter, was like really trying to spin stuff a little
Yeah,
different.
not lean so heavily on what has come before.
Totally. But that also means that trying to depart X amount far, just like to slightly uncomfortable places, means that some of it will hit
Make you
and
uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I really found the whole time.
You saw
I
his
was
body and you're
freaking
like,
out.
I just feel weird. This just makes me feel weird.
So the reason
forearms
that I
are
love
so
this,
hairy.
reason that I love this is because the biggest hurdle I had in getting into the show was the Joker. Because Kevin Michael Richardson delivers one of my favorite Joker performances. He's
Who
so
is this
good.
guy?
He's also an extremely prolific voice actor.
Yeah, he's been in everything.
Oh, okay.
He's been in a number of the things we've seen actually as different characters.
He usually sounds like this. He's just like regular. Oh, I'm going to beat you up. That's his like standard guy that he gets hired to be. So this is fun too because he's so much
all
more to
over.
do, so much range.
Yeah, so dynamic. And when they introduce him, we're in Arkham. He's in the cell. It's shadowy. You hear the voice and you're like, oh, cool. And then you see him and he's got his like fucking, I can't remember if it's like a straight jacket or his like, you know, kind of scrubs that they got to wear sometimes, the orange.
Is that what they're called in jail?
No, no, definitely not. But it makes sense that he's barefoot in his cell, right?
Yeah.
But then he starts doing like flips around the room and shit. And you're like, what the fuck is this Spider-Man Joker? And then like every time you see him outside of there, he just never owns shoes. I'm like, this is weird. And he keeps jumping around like a freak. And I don't like those things about him. And yet
Like a jester, you
The
mean?
performance-
Guys?
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
character
yeah.
appropriate.
it's so charismatic. It's so fucking wacky and unpredictable that I am fully in love with this portrayal, even though there are a couple things about it, mostly visually, that I don't love. It's something that took me a minute to warm up to, but I'm a big fan.
Well, I'm not crazy attached to Joker anyway.
You are crazy.
I am crazy.
Well, then confidentially, I am crazy. And I'll fucking kill you.
Well, I don't have anything to say now. So no,
Sorry, I ruined it with the Chappelle.
No, you just outed me like that in front of everyone then. Joker is a cool character, and he has like good stories, but he's not my favorite. So to do something drastically different with him doesn't bother me. I'm not like, oh, I just wanted it to be
My favorite character.
yeah, the guy from the 60s, or Jack Nicholson, or Mark Hamill. Like, I don't care. You can do something
You
else.
should name other versions of the Joker so people are clear on what you mean.
Meatloaf. Is he a Joker? He must have been a Joker at some point, right?
That was good.
You're saying he wasn't a Joker. Okay.
So even in this fight sequence, the show always takes its time. Batman will knock people around or whatever, and then when he lands, they do the cool Kelly Jones thing where anytime he's stationary, it's full extended cape drape that goes to the floor and past his feet, and you get nothing but shoulders and head, right? I love this fucking way they portray Batman when he's with his enemies. He's not just some like big doughy guy like, come on, whatever. He's fucking like mysterious, creepy Batman, and I like that.
I don't feel like that's something that they did a lot in the new movie, but I think that would have really fit. Like, I'm picturing the scene they go to, like, the first crime scene, and all the cops are like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, if his cape could have just
I'm your
been...
worst nightmare.
if his cape could have just been in front of his chest the whole time, that looks so much more like menacing / thoughtful.
Yeah, because you don't know what the deal is.
I'd prefer if Batman's hands only came out whilst driving an automobile, punching a face,
holding a magnifying glass,
throwing a shuriken,
signing a check.
Shuriken.
Now who said the foreign word wrong?
No, they're both things. So
kunai knives.
Yeah, kunai.
I don't want to
Ninja Star. Okay, I grew up on the Ninja Turtles.
I want stuff to line up a little bit better in my head. Like, if they say he's dark and brooding, but I see his like blue underwear all the time, I'm like, I don't know about that. Like, I need shadows and stuff, and I need him to be as creepy as you are proposing that he is. That's like also one of those places where I'm totally cool with if your costume doesn't make sense in that way. Nobody needs a cape so long that they trip on it.
Yeah.
Batman does, because he's the best at not tripping on his cape.
I mean,
hours
I get,
training.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, though, because what Reeves did is he makes him so fearless and so unconcerned about anyone's opinions of him.
Yeah.
That he doesn't really try to do the mysterious. He just fucking like bulldozes into every scene. Like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
and he is creepy. He's just not mysterious.
Yes.
Yeah.
Other than like, why is he doing this?
And why doesn't he say anything
Yeah.
ever?
Yeah.
But he fully exercises.
He doesn't turn his head even though he can.
Totally.
The suit was upgraded,
He
man.
only looks at you and then looks
Like
away from
a
you.
side eye or a full body.
Now, Bennett arrives on the scene with Detective Ellen Yin, and they draw their weapons on Batman. Joker is offended that somehow he's more of a threat than me, what the fuck, and uses this distraction to escape.
Oh, I love how he bails off the thing. He coffin tucks and falls off backwards. It's
Again,
awesome.
that's this Joker. That's unique to this guy. That kind of movement, confidence of movement.
Yeah. Batman saves himself from the cops, but he accidentally knocks Bennett onto like some faulty railing. I think Evan has talked about this before. Like, are there no safety rails in Gotham? Apparently there are, and they suck.
Where did he shouldn't have thrown him that way. He should have thrown him a different direction.
Yeah. And
towards the rest of the building.
It sort of works out for him that Yin is able to dive in and save him, and he can fucking fuck off.
Yeah, how convenient.
Now, back at Wayne Manor, Bruce tells Alfred that he wants to bring his old friend Ethan Bennett, in on the secret. Because at this point, okay, I almost killed this guy, and they almost shot me. Shit's getting heavy if we don't fucking iron this out. I think we can trust him. I've known him for fucking 20 years.
Let's go have a heart-to-heart over some hoops.
Well, first they go...
Let's ball till we fall,
lunch.
Alfred.
Yeah.
There's I wish I would have written it down, but there's like two Alfred has, also, I don't really like this Alfred. At least in what I've seen. I didn't
He made
really
no
like,
impression on me, so I guess I'm with you.
He had very little screen time in these episodes, so,
he had
cast your
2
judgment
lines.
derisively. Go ahead.
He got face huggered
Okay.
really well. That was cool.
Yeah. he had like 2 lines that I really liked, and one of them I think was right
And everything
around
else
here.
was shit.
He just well, because with Alfred, I'm always like,
Give it to
listening
me.
out for the quips. Yeah,
me the
because
stuff.
usually
Give me
he's
what I
like,
want.
usually Alfred is my guy with the cutting lines.
This is
Chicken soup.
This is pre-Michael Caine, okay? Give him a break.
But this is post the other guy.
Post the other guy.
The other guys.
You know what I'm talking about?
Malone?
Yeah.
Got it.
Wow, look at you. Pop
Sylvester
culture, baby.
Malone was Alfred.
And
Evan was impressed that I knew a guy from 10 years ago.
Post Malone is
Oh, Post Malone. Now I
Yeah,
understand
yeah.
the joke.
Yeah.
It's too late to apologize. That's
Okay. Don't go naming the songs. I don't know anything about that.
is that one of his songs?
No.
Okay. I don't think so.
I believed it.
Yeah. Alfred has like a funny old guy trying to be hip line where Bruce is like, I don't know. He's saying that they should bring Bennett in, and I swear that Alfred is like, word dog. Like I know that that's not it, but he sounded like my dad trying to like say something hip with me.
I don't remember exactly, but
Dude,
it does sound on brand that this Alfred would say hipster lingo ironically. I feel like that's a
it
thing
isn't
he does.
word, but it is affirming what Bruce says, but it totally sounds like he's trying to score points or something with the middle school kids.
Well, that feels with the vibe of the show, because the vibe of the show looks like it's, as it is, angled towards middle school kids from the 2000s. We're like in the intro, that's how you're establishing that Bruce Wayne is cool billionaire. He's
got
on the-
ladies courtside.
Courtside at a basketball game, and they're like on either side, and he's holding his phone out. I'm like, this guy's fucking cool with his open collar,
Yeah.
a little bit of the chest showing.
Yeah. I wish I was that dude.
Puka shell necklace.
That's always your fucking go-to.
You're telling me he didn't have a puka shell necklace?
He's not nearly as cool as I thought then. When they do meet at lunch, there's I feel like another reference to 89 in the way that plays out in the whole like Keaton Basinger scene at her apartment where he's like, you know how a normal guy goes downstairs, makes breakfast, kisses somebody, he's like sort of trying to get there and it's too fucking awkward. And they play it really well in this scene. And then they both get called away on a Joker sighting. Joker breaks into, it looked like a museum on the inside, but the outside I thought it said fucking theater or something, so I don't exactly know. But he uses his putty to turn a tragedy mask into a smile. Bennett shows up first and gets the drop on him, which is great. Like, oh, okay, this guy's actually good at what he does. But then
Better than Batman.
Punch knocks him out, and he's taken hostage before anybody else arrives. Back at Joker's lair, he vows to teach Chief Rojas a lesson using Bennett, saying that I'm a much bigger threat than Batman. And like, I'm going to break your mind. He gives the one bad day speech, hypnotizes him and all this.
This is the turning point in the show for me.
Where you're like, oh, okay.
The psychological torture, specifically what's going on in Bennett's head of like the things he's seeing, what the things that are bothering him, that whole experience, like, okay, this is good. Like, this is now a different level than everything that I've seen so far.
Ben's like, this is okay, but once we got to torture, I'm listening.
Listen,
Sold.
if I was probably 20 when this came out, but if I was 12, the age probably that it's directly angled at, and you're giving me that stuff, I'm like, I'm watching this every day. This is good. Yeah. No, I was probably 18. Don't get wild, guys.
2005, okay.
I was 18.
I was 3. So yeah, he tries to break his mind. The bad day thing, he says, or in my case, one rotten day in a chemical bath. Batman analyzes the crime scene where Bennett was taken. He finds sawdust that's got blue speckles in it, takes it back to the lab and concludes that it's dried sugar. He's like, oh shit, sawdust, dried sugar, blue cotton candy. I bet it's at the fucking amusement park. Yin finds them first and comes in gun on Joker. He holds the Joker putty up to Ethan Bennett and says, you don't know what this stuff does to humans. And neither do I. Like, he was really excited to find out. So she drops a weapon, and then off screen, Batman just throws a fucking batarang, just foolishly, like, I'm still new at this.
Green. Yeah.
You know, like knocks the shit out of his hand. The canister cracks.
It would have like phloem
But it
or smud
It cracks.
or gack or whatever that stuff was.
And a smud. Gas comes out of it. And so Joker flees, pursued by Batman and Ellen Yin. Now we continue with a little more Killing Joke. They fight in a hall of mirrors. Another great scene. As they silently nod at me.
I have nothing to say. I
Ben
don't even.
I feel like Ben's a little off his game today.
No,
Yeah.
he was just still.
He's lost in that scene.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about the next scene, honestly, because I don't. This
The sex scene?
You
I didn't
said this.
notice that.
What? Because with like the stretchiness of a clay body. You can, no,
So many things you could do.
no, because
So
as you said, it's like,
flexible.
I
Positions.
vaguely remember what you're talking about, but like I'm focused on the next beat.
Okay, so
Future Ben is thinking about the future.
I
So
live in
Batman.
the future, guys.
Yes.
fights Joker in the Hall of Mirrors. No surprise, he wins. Yin comes in and says, you know what? You saved my partner. I'm going to let you go this one time. But next time, like Rocket said to Bucky, I'm going to get that arm. Next time, I'm going to get that mask.
I'm gonna get that ass. Yin is in that ass.
And then afterward, when Bennett is home, he starts to feel sick. He's calling Bruce on the phone saying, hey, sorry, I had to bail today, but let's reschedule for tomorrow. Looking at his framed picture of them at the basketball court and said, we'll meet up at the gym.
The hoops place.
Shoot some hoops. As he gets in the shower and it steams up, then his face starts to deform. And as he warps, it cuts to black. End of part 1.
And so that moment, and then the first scene of the next episode is when I was really
Horny.
Like, yes, I was like I said, the malleability of
stop.
clay is a wild
The torture
thing.
scene, half masked. But then
The
the face
disfigured
melts.
human
Yeah, yeah.
really
Yeah.
just got me there. No one is going to listen to this disgusting shit if you keep turning it towards.
I'm just trying to entertain myself while you bore the shit out of me. So, I mean,
So it was both the scene, this new design that I actually really like in the same way of like
the new CLAYFACE?
Yeah, I think that's a neat. Well, I dig the eyes, like black sockets and just.
bright green.
It's kind of the same as like old school Freeze, just that look of like Mike Mignola, very
Yeah,
stark.
yeah. I love not blank, but just single color eyeballs.
Yeah.
vacant eyes, would you?
Oh, deep cut, guys.
But every day I wake and rise with fading vacant eyes and tell myself a story made alive. Like
That the horror of the transformation.
Yeah.
That was like him rushing out into the street to like, please, somebody help me, somebody save me. What's going on? Like. That was incredible, extremely effective. And then while I'm watching this, having this thought of like, oh man, this probably would have been really cool if you had 11 episodes where this guy's just a cop who Bruce Wayne was friends with. And then like they're slowly setting that up. And then you get to, oh, now he's Clayface. And
It's great because
he's having
you-
this horrible thing happen to him.
You really get to like and root for these characters.
Yeah.
And so it's an awesome finale, but it's taken us this long just to get to the show. So I was like, I want to
that's-
just dive in.
I
on
can
this.
use my imagination and see that like that's a cool twist and setup.
Yeah.
Especially if you're like, where's Clayface?
Yeah, because
Who's
he's
gonna be
been
Clayface?
on every episode. It's not like they just introduced Matt Hagen and he's starting to fall apart. Well, it's
Yeah,
like,
exactly. I think that's one of the cool things about one of the like misunderstood villains, because some people just from the jump, like even if you get a Joker backstory, but you're like, that's not a relatable character anyways. That guy was a dick. Like you don't have an attachment to him versus when you
Speak
have
for yourself. Okay.
No, okay. When
love
you
this
don't,
guy.
I reveal my Joker
yeah,
t-shirt.
He's just mean to people. He keeps fucking up. That's cool.
Nothing but
I can
good
relate.
feelings for that guy. Super nice. When you have a character that is actually, kind or sympathetic, but it's cool to be able to take them. They have been treated like a character the whole time, especially since he's not the version that we know.
Yeah, you're not expecting it.
Expecting something like that.
Yeah.
And it is cool to be able to see that spectrum from a character. And it kind of blurs the lines between like, how am I supposed to feel about this kind of, but like, now they're a bad guy and I should think they're a bad guy, but also my heart feels bad for him.
Well, and the combination of having just been tortured by like
Yeah,
a master torturer, a really edgelord torturer.
No!
All the shit he's getting at work, how he feels torn between helping Batman and not losing his job. Then this.
They've put him in a great position, but the other thing that's really just brilliant is the way that he's intertwined with the other characters, because now this is a Batman case, but he's Bruce's friend and he's Yen's partner. And
Such a good friend that he was going to tell him he's Batman.
Yeah. And so, like, there's all of these different layers going on that make this just such a fucking compelling new version of
and original. Very original.
Yeah.
I feel like his voice was worse. So he transforms, and that's like the most sludgy his voice ever was.
I thought about you guys when I heard it.
Because that's how me and Sam talk.
You remind me of Sludge. I think of you. That's the voice of you, the way I think of you. No, but just your criticism of the other one, that like his voice didn't change, that this was the exact thing. Like he has to shape his larynx back into a human thing to not sound like that.
Yeah, because in the beginning, he's running out, he's screaming for help, and no one understands what the fuck he's saying. Like, what the fuck? Shoot! You know?
Then that's what I was. Why are they being such dicks? Like, and especially that's one thing with characters. Sometimes where I will really feel bad for a character is where they're like, something tragic happened, and then they were like further mistreated by the people who could assist them or something.
Yeah.
Like, it's all of you shitheads.
They could have helped him or like prevented him from really going off the deep end.
Yeah, maybe turning into Muckman wouldn't have pushed you, had you gotten some assistance. But then after that, everybody like shunned you and washed you in the sewer and
tased you with their taser guns.
Yeah, exactly. And then also just the whole like, you feel bad. He's defending himself and hurting people in the process and making it worse for him, accidentally.
He tries to reach out to that one cop. And
he does the Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah, he's just trying to I just don't.
He says his name, I think.
Stop tickling me.
I know.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too, where I could have used a little explanation was like, it sounded like his voice got better over time. And I was like, okay, that's cool. That's because he was just harder to hear when he first transformed. Yeah. But we as an audience could understand him. And so I was like, they could have made it so I couldn't have understand any of his words. And I think that would have been fine. Like,
that's right. I use subtitles.
You could still understand that he's like, because we saw it happen to him, that he's not trying to hurt them. He wants help or he's trying to talk.
Yeah.
And
versus them, they're just seeing this fucking monster thing.
Yeah.
And
but I was like,
they're probably not listening too much.
If he's like, help me, you're like, shoot it.
It's a monster! Kill it! Kill it! It's not a monster. It's Mr. Burns. Kill it! Kill it! No,
yeah, I'll help you with this gun.
It's coming right at me.
Yeah, seriously. This cartoon is so realistic. That's the cops nowadays. Yeah.
So as we alluded to, they hose him down from all angles. He dissipates into the sewer below. We cut to Chief Rojas at a press conference. He's giving Yin all the credit for Joker's arrest, not Batman, and reiterates his zero tolerance for freaks policy. That night, Clayface confronts him in his office at the police station. Batman swoops in, chases him off, and Rojas sends the cops after both of them anyway.
But he was kind of on the fence about it too. It was just like in his sort of confusion and agitation.
They said, Batman's working with Clayface? He's like, no,
just
whatever.
go get him.
Yeah. He also has this like stupid tagline that they're trying to drive home or something. He's like, take him down, ... with zero tolerance. Like, okay, shut up, man.
Again, I don't think it's the writers. I think it's just this guy being kind of a
He's supposed to sound stupid.
Dingus,
I really liked Clayface, the way he escaped. Stretching one long strand of clay to a building and then like, it's almost like a Venom kind of thing.
Yeah.
Then like landing, reforming, and then doing it again to climb another.
He didn't burst through the door either. He like sort of trickled in under the door frame.
I like that maybe it's the cops calling it in or something like, we need help being attacked by some clay-faced creature. And then it
I was like, a little heavy-handed, guys.
Yeah, it instantly becomes his name. Like, then the first news.
It seems like Mud Guy.
Yeah.
Mud Guy's after us.
Silly putty.
I just thought it was funny that they said clay-faced given his entire body. They didn't say clay creature. So I was like, don't force that in there, guys.
Yeah.
You're making me aware of the writing, and I don't like it.
Yeah. The very first newscast.
Nude? What?
Nude newscast. It's your.
Ben's got a sex scene. Evan's got a nude scene.
You can tell where our head's at.
I got the version that I paid for.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Mine was from HBO Max, so.
Yeah,
I bought this.
you guys didn't get the one where they like, there's some kind of clay penis creature.
Oh, you paid for this?
Yeah.
Fucking, they got everything on HBO Max. All your favorite DC Comics titles. Subscribe today. Pay me, you fuckers. Pay me.
I paid $6 for these.
Wow.
Just 2 episodes?
I think they're $3 a piece because they're HD. This wild new technology, HD.
Oh, shit. Well, I've got all the old DVDs if you want to borrow.
Too late now.
Just kidding. Subscribe to HBO Max today before they cancel all our favorite programs.
You were saying stuff and then we interrupted
there was.
It doesn't
No,
matter.
I don't know.
No one
but
listens
also,
to him.
there's I didn't send it to you, Ben, because I don't know what your phone can do. But there,
It's true.
there
Ben's
is
the
this-
weak link in our text thread. So
Yeah,
And yet I have the
videos
most expensive phone,
don't
so
cut.
you guys can go to hell. Whatever.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
there's this sexy shot where Batman
no
is,
amount of money can make it compatible. I'll tell you that.
Clayface is like pushing Rojas out the window.
Oh, no, I
from
saw
the
it. It
back.
looked like
oh,
some
yeah.
kinda like-
Oh, it's sexy. It even says ooh.
It looks, if his head was facing the other way, I would really be like, this is a strange shot.
Yep.
Their pursuit out the window leads to a brief rooftop fight that resembles Feet of Clay. I felt like this was a direct homage. He's got the big spiked fists, and they just do it very quickly. When Yin arrives, Clayface says, "It's me, Bennett," but no one can understand his fucking garbly voice. You know, my notes were here of like fucking, I did really like how the voice was done this time.
Yeah. This has a moment too where he involuntarily is guarding himself from Batman and he hardens and Batman slams into him and just like drops.
Yeah.
And that was very similar to in the other show of like the first time he kicks him and it just does nothing and he sticks in him. Of that realizing like all the possibilities of what he can do and how strong he is and how Batman can't fight him.
It reminds me a little bit of Cyborg and Justice League too. Like both this and the Feet of Clay stuff is when he's got this unfamiliar body that's reacting instinctively.
Yeah.
It's like when Superman comes back and he's kind of eye fucking everybody, and Cyborg's just like ready to go, even though he has no control over it.
Ready to fuck, is that what you're saying?
Yes, I'm always ready to go. He was ready to fight. That's my bad. Later, at his apartment, Bennett uses a photo of himself to try to find his human form again. And he does a passable job of that, just as Yin knocks on the door, concerned that, that Clayface sighting was right outside his apartment. I haven't heard from him.
Why is it my problem?
Yeah, and he's very indignant, like, I got suspended. Fuck Rojas. He can deal with this nightmare. It has nothing to do with me.
Yeah, he's pretty mad.
And she like puts his hand on his shoulder and it's wet. And he's like, I just got out of the shower. He closes the door and it's like there's residue, dirty residue. And she's like, okay, immediately suspicious.
Who did it first? Something about Mary or this?
Something about Mary, I think. She doesn't put it in her hair.
No, that's true.
That's in Ben's version, not in the
The version I
televised
paid
one.
for. You guys got a free version.
At the Batcave, a sample of Clayface, Joker Putty, whatever, attacks Alfred. That was the scene you mentioned.
Why?
We talked both episodes now. I've had a part of the Clayface over somebody's mouth and nose being really disgusting.
Why does it do that?
Because it's creepy.
Batman recalls the Joker, Putty, and Bennett's feud with Chief Rojas, deduces that, oh shit, Bennett is Clayface. At the same time, Yin shows up at Rojas's home to talk about Bennett. Once inside, turns into Clayface and attacks. The real Yin calls Bruce and learns that he missed his meeting with Bruce at the gym. She said he hasn't been the same since the accident, and then realizes, as she's speaking, like, oh, fuck, and she connects the dots as well. Oh, he's Clayface. So they both have the same realization at the same time, which, again, Batman always being the smartest guy in the room, I like that they give Yin and Bennett so much agency. Like, they don't really need him.
Agency and skill.
Yeah.
They are capable as well.
And she's a great character throughout the series, like, very sharp, sort of acts as his Gordon eventually once they kind of get over this hump.
Do they bang?
Only in your weird fan fiction version.
version.
That you got.
Yeah, the expensive version.
Paywall version. Yin goes to check on Rojas, and the cops are confused because she's already inside, right? The Clayface version had just been there. Inside, Rojas is gone. He was abducted. Both Yin and Batman, they suspect, well, we were going to meet at the gym. I wonder if he took him there, which I thought, that's maybe a little easy. And I thought, well, no, this place has a long-running significance to both of them. So I guess it works.
It feels in line with him deducing so quickly that he's Clayface. It makes sense, but it still was like 2 steps. And he's like, oh, he's Clayface.
Yeah.
He's been running around with that clay gun all week. Could have been any number of people or things. It didn't just have to be him.
That's true.
So the hoops, the
but
basketball
I think
court
it's
felt
not
like that too.
The spraying, I think it's like, oh shit, well, there's that fucking Joker putty thing. But then he specifically remembers the gas element. It's like, I don't fucking know what this does to human beings. Let's find out, you know? So I didn't think it was that much of a stretch, if you will.
Stretch. Give me a high five.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck yeah.
As he's escaping with Rojas, that was a great scene. Another like body horror scene of he's now transformed into the police uniform and he's like this huge hulking cop. And the other cops are like, who's that? I don't know. I don't recognize him. They either throw something at him or something hits his arm and part of it falls off. And you just see Rojas's like half of his face
sticking out
in the shoulder, just like terrified, dead-eyed. Like, that's good.
Again, that's the part Ben really likes.
Yeah.
I hate this edgelord stuff, but the psychological torture and the body horror, oh yeah.
I'm an edgelord. There's only room for one. So
I see.
Yeah.
This town's only big enough for
Can't
one
be the
of us.
Joker.
When they find him, he says that Rojas considers them both on the wrong side of the law. The Joker did not just break his body, but his mind. Again, in each of these Clayface situations, he still really sounds like desperate and out of control. And they do a great job of like, this character who the entire season, or at least let's say the first episode for you guys, is very calm,
Thoughtful,
collected, thoughtful.
compassionate,
Yes,
effective.
composed.
Yeah, composed.
Always composed.
What a great term to use
And
for a
he's
guy
so
who now turns into mud.
Unhinged. Yeah, I just really, really like the directorial choices here. As they fight, Batman turns the showers on him, and it has no effect this time because there wasn't big fire hoses. There's a joke of like, oh, the water pressure in here always sucked. And Yin comes in, begs him to stop, saying, you don't have any blood on your hands yet. You can still make this go away. That's one of the interesting things about the episode is that they don't really defeat him.
Yeah. He has a great line too, which was another beat that I was like, man, this is really good. Of he transforms back into his regular self, his human form, and he says to her, what have we become? And that's when he just kind of like slinks down the drain.
Yeah. In effect, Yin has saved Batman this time. In her own words, echo in her head from the first episode, having said that next time they meet, the mask comes off. Clayface escapes down the drain, as you said.
What's become of us? I think that was the term.
And Yin says that everything she's seen in the last 24 hours has made her basically question everything. She's giving Batman a pass again. He responds by trusting her and giving her the Batwave, which I don't know if it's ever referred to out loud, but that's what they call it in this series, his little cell phone pager thing.
Batwave.
That goes off when there's a crime.
Like sonar, like bats. Like submarines, I mean.
Yes, Mr. Wayne, like a submarine. Later, she meets with Bruce Wayne and remarks that it's so strange they are finally meeting, but without Bennett around. Just then, out the window, he appears in a much better version of the Feet of Clay outro because they run outside. They both saw him, run outside, and he's gone. She says, he could be anywhere. And he says, he could be anyone. And it cuts to the busy Gotham streets, end of part 2. No random bystander.
I in my heart of hearts, I wanted him to turn into a cackling woman.
the best Easter egg. I love that backup shot too, because I've never been to New York, but you go to these places where like everything is so tall that you can't see around a corner.
Yeah.
Like everything is massive and
The sky is blocked.
Yeah, it leads to these like feelings of weird claustrophobia and like a maze. And I just thought it was cool just seeing the whole thing from a distance instead, you know, because everything usually is like so tight. And I like the perspective. I like that they showed that it actually had a downtown, and you can tell it's the downtown because all the buildings are so tall here.
Yeah.
But also just, it kind of helps me grasp the world a little bit better when you can show like the downtown's proximity to the water. And this is how
like
the water
there's
runs.
an industrial district this way, and there's train tracks, and the
Yeah.
buildings are smaller. Well, and I think that works with this more abstract style because so much of the city so far has sort of been like amorphous and kind of just like weird shapes that aren't super
a
well
lot
defined.
of black.
Yeah. Or like
here's a giant structure.
There's kind of windows or something.
It's just kind of tight on that location. It's not really wide. And what's interesting about the way they play the ending here is it's not so much about the reveal that he still exists. It's sort of like they said, he's so elusive at this point that they'll never find him. And so when they go out there and it goes from a tight close-up to then a little wider shot as they exit, and then another wider shot as it sort of expands into the vastness of the city, and it just keeps pulling back until you really just get this idea of like, okay, he's just gonna be out there, and who knows when he's gonna pop up again.
Reminiscent of the film that I don't remember what it's called with Denzel Washington, where there's like the serial killer gets murdered but then jumps from body to body, and Denzel Washington's trying to...
Fallen?
Yeah, I think
Maybe?
that's it.
Yeah.
That's what the end of that movie feels like. Spoilers. I'm sorry. That's a good movie. You guys should watch
From
it.
the 1990s.
Yeah, it's a really good movie.
Never seen
I
it.
saw it once, but I don't really remember it.
I could have made all that up. You should watch it. That might not be how it ends. It could end differently than that.
Is there a scene in a cabin?
Yeah.
Okay. Any Easter eggs that we didn't discuss besides the weird pornographic version you saw?
Weird. It's not weird.
I don't know why. My instinct today is every time you make a joke is to meet you with silence and watch you dig a hole. I don't know why.
Well, it's working.
Good tactic.
It's not the most supportive I've ever been on the show, but I keep doing it. Like you'll do something and then I'll just dead eye stare at you.
Sometimes.
And you'll have to come up with a second joke that no one has helped you get to. And I kind of love it.
Sometimes you have to try different things. This is what you're trying today.
It's like the last episode was too funny for all the wrong reasons. And so this one, I'm like, okay, exercise restraint today. We're going to be nice. And then I'm just like not taking any of the bait.
Yeah, now who's dead eye staring at whom? Me is the who in that sentence.
I am to you.
Pros.
Just the overall originality of this is kind of to be expected. The first, 20 minutes of this experience
Being like,
was
what?
jarring. Yeah. But then once I settled into it and they revealed what the meat of it was, it was really cool.
Yeah, I'd like to watch more of it. I like this version of Batman a lot. I like the design of it. And also I thought that the Batmobile looked really cool, though I didn't get to see a lot of it. So that's also another thing that makes me want to watch more is it looked like a cool vehicle design to me.
It reminded me of the Matt Reeves one. It just seemed like broader and flatter.
Yeah, it's got the blue and then
Flat broads.
it's
Love
like
it.
you could see, it looked like it had real mechanical elements. Like you're seeing exposed machines.
The pistons that are in a car.
Technical words.
Cars have flywheels and levers.
Rotors.
In my pros, I have cast. Reno is a great Batman. Kevin is a severely underrated Joker, in my opinion. The whole ensemble did a terrific job. I didn't catch the name. Let me pull up the guy who plays Ethan Bennett. Does a lot of different things.
I feel like he was in like
this.
legal shows or cop shows.
Steve
or
Harris.
Like that.
Okay, Steve Harris is the one. Yeah, he's from The Practice.
Yeah.
And he was in The Rock.
That definitely is a pro, though, not just the quality of the cast, but it's what I talk about where, like, in some of these things we watch that are later, leaning so hard on having Kevin Conroy or Mark Hamill. Or again, since this is the first time we talked
he's
about
there.
it. Yeah. And he's amazing, but that, like, it always reminds you of the animated series, and it's whatever you're watching is going to be in the shadow of that because of it. So to have everyone be different and the tone be
You're
so
not really
different.
comparing it to shit that way.
It just exists in its own space.
Yeah. Animation style, again, great for action. I love these new character designs. The most important thing, though, is just the way that the story hits on so many levels, affecting Bruce, affecting Batman. It's personal without sacrificing any of the big supervillain shit. We talked about restraint a lot on the last episode, Feet of Clay. The fact that we don't even reveal Clayface until the second episode. And that does really happen here too, which is neat, but they do a lot of action. They have the Joker in the first episode, heavily featured. You know, there's a lot of cool shit going on here, and yet it doesn't take away from, Ethan's personal struggles or everyone else's concern for him and how that affects their own lives and their own agendas. Like, it's very well written. Cons.
The visual style is weird to me at times. One, the big four-headed Batman is just...
I literally never have looked at this Bruce and thought, he's weird
big
looking.
Forehead and a big nose. And like, I have kind of a big nose, but no human would have a nose that big. I just don't, and a head that tall. And as I said before, again, I'll say it again.
Fictional characters.
Yeah, well, I just appreciate him not being super handsome like he normally is, but it's just a little weird looking to me. And that's this whole art style, which feels like Jackie Chan Adventures, but also all the WB stuff from this era. It made me think of the Men in Black cartoon.
I think it was a WB show, if I'm not mistaken.
It was on the network by WB, but the Men in Black
who's
show.
Who's an expert now?
The Men in Black show. I think there was like Extreme Ghostbusters. There's a bunch of shows from this era.
Is that also a porn?
Extreme Ghostbusters.
Yeah, it's 3
Triple
X's.
X.
Why is it called that?
So much slime,
Extreme.
guys. Oh, yeah. Where's your 1 star now?
Bustin' makes us feel good.
That feels good. Thank you for that.
Best joke. 2 episodes in a row. Wow.
I'm out of here. You guys can finish up.
Oh, my God.
It's weird.
We should just stop there.
Slightly weird. They all have these weird color palettes where it's like very dark colors and then like some weird choice of every building is brown or red or something. And it's not bad. It's just odd. It takes getting used to. And so that kind of threw me a little bit.
Yeah, the show really does have a learning curve because it's so its own fucking thing. I'd be interested to maybe do another one down the road now that you guys are like knowing what to expect going into it. Do a Penguin one, or maybe when Batgirl comes in later, or something like that. It'd be fun.
I feel the same. I don't think that it's a con. It's just not what I was expecting, and it just felt like I would need to expose myself to it more before it grew on me a little bit.
Yeah.
And mostly just because this kind of my preferred version of certain worlds and certain characters, and Gotham makes sense to me as a dark place, at least like 50% shadows. This one is so opposite.
Colorful and
vivid. You know, which
Yeah.
like I love, and one of my favorite things about Tim's stuff and just kind of the style that stemmed from it, and it's part of just animation and not wanting to do more than you have to, or like budgetary constraints, that like they're not drawing wrinkles on clothes and stuff like that. It's like devoid of,
Unless you get the 4K version.
The version I paid for.
HD.
On my phone, you can see all the wrinkles and all the clothes.
Damn,
it's
I
really
want
good.
to see that. It's devoid of like extra details, and I really do like stuff broken down to its simplest shapes. You know, I like these angled chins and
Enormous foreheads.
yeah, just massive foreheads. But it was very bright. My eyes almost didn't know how to take it at first. Everything was so colorful. Like the characters are
Especially with
cool
that
looking.
intro where it's just rapid
Yeah,
fire cut shots.
You were doing the chopper, like you were
Fast
half
cuts.
leaning out from your corner to
I
the TV
actually
wouldn't
watched
blind
it
you.
from the dining room. I was like, and
Even the reflection is vivid.
And also something about the backgrounds and the coloring of the background specifically looked like very digital to me in a weird way. And I think that I was partially comparing it to the old stuff.
It's not Sub-Zero weird digital at all. Like, to me, this is kind of the sweet spot of when this shit started to really look good.
Well, and it's like you have entirely CG stuff that really looks like it, like a Pixar film or something, where like every portion of it
three-dimensional
and so that's
styles.
and that's how like the Sub-Zero stuff was, or when they do the vehicles or something. These backgrounds look to me like the line art might be hand drawn, but then only the colors are digital, and so it has this faux texture that looks odd to me. Like they're trying to imply some stuff that's just not quite hitting.
Well, and some of it looked weird. And again, I imagine this would look different because most of us in this era had small TVs. So these are things you don't really notice in the same way.
Not me. I had a 37-inch flat screen that cost me $1,000.
It was 800 pounds.
Amber and I went to a antique place yesterday, and they had this television where the VHS was part of it. I was like,
I would have been really excited for that.
You mean like a full-size, like big one? Because I used to have a ton of the little ones.
It was actually
large
more
TV
like a
VHS.
skinny, tall rectangle. It was just like it sat on top of the. God, what is it even?
But it is a square, right?
But you're
It's a
not talking about
television.
the ones that we used to use on stage for
Not like the little camping
illusionist.
trip
No,
ones.
no.
You're talking about the big ones.
Okay,
yeah.
because I was like, those are. I have 2 of those in storage.
No,
No,
like
no.
a big gray box that has
Well,
a
like-
VHS
Yeah.
slot
It was
underneath.
Okay.
like pretty deep. And,
Yeah.
And the screen was like sizable. It was probably like a 1.5 feet or something, and that was like its whole frontal profile.
Mm-hmm.
But just the fact that the tape player was a part of the whole thing, and
So that way, if that breaks, you're really fucked. That's the cool thing.
It's just funny
Gotta
the
buy a
things that
new
you
one.
like forget existed. You just don't think about them for so long.
Yeah, now it's all like an enormous flat trans-dimensional window that's on your wall that takes you wherever you want to go.
Yeah.
Takes you away from this life. You go wherever you want to be.
Grumps posted a picture yesterday. It was somebody's meme of like, kids today will never know. And it was like a big receiver, multiple component stereo stack. And I was like, that's still what I use, but all right.
You're a grandpa, though. The point I was going to say, though, is that there are some distinct shots in this.
Whoa. We're
Before
talking
you guys
about
interrupt me with
Batman?
your
I forgot.
stupid nostalgia, I don't partake in that.
My bad.
I look forward.
Oh.
Everything's coming up, Benjamin.
Everything is only going to get better from
Yep.
here. You're right.
For
the
me, at
world
least.
is, got
Yeah.
it. Right.
As we said, misery is my thing. So you being
right.
miserable makes me feel good.
Right.
No, there's some, and a lot of them are establishing
World
shots.
suffering
where it
really
was
makes him hard.
Very clearly, we established this last episode. It was not a joke. I wasn't joking, guys. Just to really fuck everything
I
up.
spent a lot of time not being serious, but I'm dead serious.
Establishing shots that were clearly
Nope, don't say that bad word.
dead fork and serious,
Yeah.
guys. Clearly, a single shot with a super.
We're never going to let you get through this.
This is such a bad point, too, and now it's really bad because it's taken forever to get to
That's
it.
how Evan feels
I
every
can't
time.
wait till we get there.
Clearly, a single image with a hard digital zoom. And then they're like digitally zooming out and panning from here to there.
yeah.
And especially on a large TV, it looked very low res, grainy, and just like obvious.
Yeah.
That's something that the animated series did too sometimes, where it would be like, why the fuck are you cropping the screen right now? It looks bizarre. Like, for what purpose? Like, were there just no breaks? They're like, fuck, we didn't get any other angles of
We
this.
can't pay anyone
You
to
know?
draw something else here, so we just have to
yeah.
make this one shot work.
Yeah, like I never got that. Like, they'll zoom in on someone who's like not in the foreground and just crop out the main character for a second. I'm like, why are this? Oh God, can you not see what this looks like?
That's actually.
I want an animator to explain to me why this is done so often.
And your example is pretty good too. Like,
Thanks.
you
It was worth it.
Yeah.
don't
But
know.
that's actually all they're doing is like sliding the pretend image closer or
And
farther
then
from
moving
your
it
face.
around.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and these are HD, so this is like right in the cusp of that era when everything kind of starts to shift to HD, but they were probably still like smaller televisions.
Definitely.
Crisper
Yeah,
image,
yeah.
but a small TV.
Still, 1080p is 1080p. You know?
This could have been 720, even maybe like stretched further.
I've always had this problem though. Like when I send my wife a dick pic, she's always like, "Why is it so grainy?" I'm like, "I just thought
Just the texture.
if I zoomed it in,
Yeah.
it would make it look bigger." But it just doesn't work, guys. She's seen it. We've shed tears,
I'm not fooling anybody.
communal tears.
Have you ever tried like a fisheye?
Yeah, work on angles. It's all about
Yeah,
angles.
but it
yeah,
already
yeah.
has a bit of a curve, so it just makes it look like
Like a football.
cylindrical. It's weird.
Well, the other thing is too, like put something big behind it in a way that looks like it's right next to it
Right.
to really
right.
fool her.
Oh, it's like
Yeah.
it's like the
It's like how they made Elf.
Or Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I was gonna say yeah.
Your
it's,
penis is Elijah Wood.
Yep.
No, your
No, it's the opposite.
yeah,
It's
your
the- it's
penis
the
is
opposite.
Ian McKellen.
Yeah, yeah.
And then like
Wow.
that.
That's
that,
an upgrade, really.
That
Yeah, yeah.
can of Pringles is Elijah Wood.
Oh boy.
What?
Just
what
put your
have we
penis on a
become?
box to make it look
What's
taller.
become of us, guys?
Actually, all jokes aside, having only one ball, everyone else gets the natural push-up bra effect of two balls when it's in underwear. You don't get that with one ball.
You didn't want that thing that they sell for dogs? For people who are insecure about their dogs having been neutered, you can buy little silicone balls to install.
There were no safe alternatives in 2002 when it happened. My doctor brought it up.
There must be immense now, if your options.
Oh, yeah, you would think. I should go back and get some real big ones.
I think that's smooth as eggs.
I'm sorry. Do you suck these balls?
Gangster ass faces. When they talk about knee replacements, they're like
2 fake testicles in there.
It's like, with that kind of stuff, you always want to push it as long as you can because technology will be better in the future. Like
up to a point, and then when everything falls apart, you're not getting any fake testicles.
You get, I think that 10 years later, you'd now faux nard technology has advanced far enough that you can they could be speakers, or they could have heaters.
Wow, I could have a Bluetooth ball sack. That's crazy.
Backup battery charger for your phone, whatever you want.
I feel like you've
wireless. You just hold it up there and it just kind of.
Oh, it could be like one of those charging pads.
Yeah, exactly. What were we talking about, guys?
Cons. I have one con. I only have one con. Joker feet. That's all. Rating.
Altogether, it's a 4. The first episode is like a 3.5. The second one is maybe more like a 4.25, maybe higher. Whoa. As a whole thing, 4.
Okay.
3.5. And I'm open to the possibility that if I watched more of it, I would like it more.
Yeah. You're right. The first episode is a little lighter, a little goofier, but the way that everything comes together is such a good payoff. Yeah. And it's a 5 for me just because I don't have anything that takes away.
Sure.
So
makes sense.
I had a great time. I'm glad you guys liked it.
This is the first time we've gotten together since KEVIN Conroy has passed.
You know what? You're right.
And
because the other ones were pre-taped.
Yeah, and I just want to say that although I'm critical of the things I love, because that's how they get better.
Yeah. And that's why our episodes are more than 10 minutes long.
Yeah. And I think that's when you're realistic about the things you don't like, that makes you appreciate the things you do like and why you like them. But having said that, he is the voice of my Batman, just like it is for everyone else. And that's why I love those Arkham games so much, and why they hit so much is because it was the Batman from my childhood who now I'm getting to be. And in hindsight now is the even better version of it to me, but that's why it worked. And so just big ups to that guy.
Thanks for being such an important part of my childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I woke up to text from Dunk and Fernando, our sponsor, and I've had these experiences before where you get some ominous, holy shit, man, are you okay? And I'm like, fuck. And it's from both of these guys. I'm like, God damn it. And so you go to the internet and it's just like, fuck. And so, I was really distraught. That really fucked up my day. It was on my wife's birthday. She gets up earlier than me and I come out, I'm all fucking snotty and, teary and shit. And Batman's dead. And
I love you.
Let me just fucking ruin your whole day here by making it about me. But yeah, man, I was really fucking bummed. And I immediately, because we had just done Heart of Ice, so I immediately went and put that on and watched a few episodes that day. And it's crazy. I've had so much going on, in my personal life lately, that I sort of forgot. There's times you forget. And then I'll be on fucking social media, whatever, and, somebody will post this little memorial or whatever, and I'm like, fuck, it doesn't seem right. He's always been there, He's just always been there, and he'll continue to be everyone's fucking comic voice in our heads, which is awesome. He's given us just a library of content that's,
we'll play the rest of those Arkham games. I'll sit with you and force your dumb baby brain to get through these things, because they're some of his best work.
I loved the first one. I loved the first third of the second one, and then I got mad and gave up. But
Batman also has to solve problems. That's the idea. He doesn't always know where to go, and he has to use his bat skills to get there.
One thing in personal experience that is so.
Ben doesn't like when we talk about personal.
Keep it light, guys.
Yeah.
Fuck.
This is super light. One of the things that makes death so jarring to me is that because of its significance, you want it to move slower, but life happens quickly, and because death is part of it, it also happens just as quickly. So you want something with that much weight to not drag it out, but you want it to seem like it doesn't just happen in a second when it happens.
Yeah, because I don't think most people knew that he was ill.
It's so easy to forget about because you can do a lot of things in your life that aren't super permanent, like lots of changes, many changes that aren't super permanent where you couldn't undo, and like few things
Change your mind or go back or whatever.
And few things are as permanent as death. It's very easy to like, nothing changed, but in those moments you forget. And then you come back around like, oh yeah, it's still the same. They're still gone.
But that's a nice thing with someone like this, like a performer and a celebrity and an artist.
Art, yeah.
You can have a connection with so many people who've all been affected by the work in a similar way. Like all of our childhoods were affected by that. We all hear that same thing because of that.
Totally.
You didn't have a connection with this person the way you do with like the way you guys have with me, but not the other way.
Yeah.
Sure.
But it's broader. It's like spread out among more people.
What's also interesting is when something like this happens, to a lot of us, it's sort of our comfort food. Like if you have a bad day, you might pull up the animated series or the Burton movies or something like that and watch that shit that you grew up on because it makes you feel good and, just reminds you of a simpler time or whatever. And so now I think temporarily it complicates that a little bit too because
can it not be sad?
And even on that day, I'm watching it. By halfway through or so, I get so invested in it again that when the episode was over and I went to credits, I'm like, man, that was, oh, fuck. God damn. Literally in that moment, he transported me out of it. And then I was like, oh, fuck. And so, man, it's powerful. It's complicated. I really thought, because he filmed at home the clip that we used for our intro. Mm-hmm. And that was something I set up through Cameo. And I really wanted to meet this guy for a long time. Like I remember when I started like traveling to see cons.
Home when he wasn't there.
Yeah. I started lurking outside of the premises. Like when I started traveling for cons, like I had just flown to Texas for Keaton, and then I saw Conroy was going to be in fucking New Orleans or something, whatever, and I was like, this is just as important. I should just do that, And
I'm halfway there.
And then, well, no, it wasn't at the same time.
I'll just wait a month in Texas.
It was close. So I was like, man, how far would I go to meet Kevin Conroy? I was like, pretty fucking far, but didn't end up doing it. I was like, nah, of course he's going to come to fucking Portland or Seattle or something. Like, it's got to happen. He does so many events. And I've sort of just kept that in the back of my mind. And same with Tim Sale. Like, I was supposed to meet him in 2020, and that con got canceled. And then he kind of stopped doing appearances afterward. But I would always watch the announcements. I set the post notifications like, okay, who's going to be there at Emerald City? Who's going to be there in Portland? And there's another Fan Expo coming up in Portland and another Emerald City coming up. So February and March, they're starting to announce the guests. And I was like, already keeping an eye on like, oh shit, is Conroy coming? And they always put out those surveys afterward of like, who do you want us to get next year? And he was always the first person I put on there. And so I really just had it in my head that's like, all right, next year is going to be the fucking one, Mm-hmm. It bummed me out that we never got the chance, because I know guys like Fernando and Dunk have met him in person. They had great experiences with him. And
I think, don't beat
he's very
yourself up.
Generous.
It would have just been hey, can I shake your hand? And then some guy would have come over and be like, actually, Mr. Conroy's not shaking hands today.
They would have worn sunglasses the whole time.
Please don't make eye contact.
Do you know anything about me? I would never ask to shake a hand.
No kissing. Mr. Conroy,
actually, you know what? He only likes high fives.
You hold your hand out, he pokes it with a single finger.
He'll boop it.
No, I did make an exception though. When Sean Murphy extended his hand to me, I couldn't not grab it. So, I broke the rule. But yeah, I have heard enough stories about Kevin Conroy being so much more generous with his time and very gracious with his fans. In similar stories you hear about like Kevin Smith, he's just like a real dude who's connected to his audience and he knows what his shit means to people. And so I always looked forward to that, had it in the back of my mind. But I'm very grateful that he did this little clip for our show and that we have so many countless hours of his shit to rewatch. Moving on.
This is Robin. Thanks for checking out the Bat Fanatic podcast with Sammy Warm Hands.
All right, that is our show. Thank you guys so much for listening. In 2022, we're going to take a break for New Year's, and then we'll return with more Season 3. As always, if you like the show, give us a 5-star rating on Apple or Spotify. If you have the time, drop a sentence or two in a review. That helps us get the word out through the algorithms and whatever the fuck that I don't understand. You can follow us on Instagram at BatFanAddict. That's where I post new comics, convention sketches, hot toys, you name it. Probably some new shit for Christmas. Who fucking knows? You can also follow our friend, the Nando Knight, who's sponsoring Season 3. We appreciate him. Been a supporter since the beginning. We're going to return with Jock's One Dark Night. So stick around. We'll see you fuckers next year.